Mick Abel is the story of yesterday, probably the story of the weekend. I think in terms of if you're looking on the bright side, if you're looking at the fact that the Phillies erased a 5-game deficit in the span of just a little bit under 2 weeks, this was an overarchingly positive weekend for the Phillies. Mick Abel tosses 6 shutout innings in his major league debut, gives up just 5 hits, strikes out 9, walks 0. And we're going to talk about the command in just a moment and why that 0 is so important. But let's talk about the 9 strikeouts for just a second. The 9 strikeouts that Mick Abel picked up, including 5 of the first 6 outs that he recorded in the game via the strikeout, are tied for any pitcher making his major league debut as a member of the Phillies. He ties Curt Simmons, who struck out 9 New York Giants in a complete game 3-1 win back in 1947. Curt Simmons made 1 appearance that year at 18 years old, and that was the start that he made. The following year, he was with the Phillies for much more of the season and went on to have a really successful major league career. But I thought it was important to pair him with Mick Abel, not just because of the 9 strikeouts, but because they're similar in the fact that they also gave up 5 hits. They're similar in the fact that they won their first start as a major leaguer. But where they differ, and where I thought the best part of Mick Abel's game was yesterday, Curt Simmons walked 6 Giants in that game. Mick Abel walked 0 Pirates. That was the big difference to me. When you comp Curt Simmons and Mick Abel starts, the walks or lack thereof for Mick Abel were the most important thing to me. He was excellent with his command. He is a 23-year-old kid who, I've said this plenty, you're probably tired of hearing me say this. He's a 23-year-old kid who was written off by a lot of people. He was the 15th overall pick in the draft class that he was selected and always had great stuff. Fastball had life, breaking balls were good, had good mix and good repertoire and things like that. The issue with Mick Abel throughout most of his career was twofold. One, his command was trailing and lacking at times. Last year, in 108 innings pitched, he walked 78 hitters. Last year, in 108 innings pitched, he gave up 119 hits. And that 119 hits was the second thing, was when his command faltered, that's when he had to come back into the zone with a fastball, and he was giving up a lot of hard contact. So last year, he had a lack of command, a high walk rate, and a 1.8 whip to go with a 6.46 ERA in AAA Lehigh Valley. Last year, Mick Abel was not good. There's no other way to put it. Last year was a bad year in AAA for Mick Abel. And then something changed this offseason. And you could read the story about how he was told to become the, quote, quiet assassin. It was a really good article about not allowing his emotions to get the best of him, about being kind of stagnant and in the same mindset no matter the outcome of the game. And you saw it yesterday. The Phillies won, and they panned to him, and Tom McCarthy made a joke about same facial expression, very lack of emotion, and that's not a bad thing. The Phillies won his first ever start, and he was stoic, he was poised, he was professional, and I think that went a long way in AAA, and it's why he was able to make his major league debut this year. The Phillies were in desperate need of a 5th starter for a lot of the second half of the season. After Spencer Turnbull went down with what ended up becoming basically a season-ending injury, the Phillies were turning to a bunch of different guys to fill the void. And it really became important to fill the void when Ranger Suarez also missed a lot of time. So the Phillies needed anybody to come up and give them quality innings. They didn't get it from Taijuan Walker, a 7 ERA in his starts last year. They didn't get it from Tyler Phillips. One really good start. The rest were really rough. They didn't get it from Colby Allard. One really good start. The rest were rough. I thought he was the best of the group, but that's not really saying a whole lot. They didn't get it from Tyler Gilbert, and they didn't get it from anybody else that they asked to make a spot start. They had nothing out of the 5th spot last year, and they won 95 games. If Mick Abel had pitched to any semblance of what he did this year so far in AAA, he would have made his major league debut last year. But we can let bygones be bygones and talk about this start, because this start was really, really impressive. And it's why he was so successful. And I understand you can sit here and say the Pirates offense is not very good. And it's not. We talked about it in the preview, the series preview. worst team batting average across baseball, least amount of runs scored per game across baseball, bad OBP, lack of gaps power, lack of power. It's not a very good offense, but it's still a professional offense, and it's still a major league team that the Pirates have. You could joke and say maybe it's a quad A team, but it's still a major league team that Mick Abel went and faced. And I thought the poise that he showed, the attack that he showed, was really, really impressive. He used all 5 of his pitches yesterday. Now, he didn't use the changeup a ton. I think he only used it 5 or 6 times. But he used all 5 of his pitches yesterday. He attacked the zone early. He stayed ahead. He got ahead with the fastball. And the thing that was most impressive to me was the fact that he spotted his fastball so well. There were multiple times in the first couple of innings where Mick Abel spotted the fastball down and away, outer edge, run it off the outer black, great pitch. Run it off the outer edge, up and away to a right-handed hitter, great pitch. Where he wanted his fastball to go, that's exactly where he was putting it. His command early in the game was really, really sharp. He gave up a couple of base hits in the first and then ended up getting a ground out and a pair of strikeouts. He then followed that up with 3 more strikeouts in the second inning. He averaged 97.3. He hit 99 on the gun. And he was not afraid to go right after these Pirate hitters. And he did it for most of the afternoon. And the reason that he was so successful was in part because of the fastball command, but I think in general, it was because he was able to get ahead and stay ahead in most of the counts that he saw yesterday. So he got ahead of the first 5 hitters that he faced. Fastball command was excellent. Breaking ball was sharp. He was 0-1 against 5 consecutive hitters. He then was ahead against 12 of the next 18 hitters that saw more than 1 pitch. So he was ahead 67% of the at-bats that went 2 or more pitches. That's a recipe for success for a young kid who's looking to find some stability in his first start. Pitching can be boiled down to a lot of really simple things that put together become a really complicated game. But the simplest way to have success is to throw strikes, change speeds, and work quickly. And Mick Abel did all of those things. He got 18 whiffs on the day. He got 8 whiffs with the curveball and 7 whiffs on the fastball. 38% of Mick Abel's pitches yesterday were either called strikes or whiffs. 32 of his 84 pitches were either called strikes or whiffs. He was able to do that by, again, getting ahead with strike 1 and mixing his pitches really well. And I thought his pitch sequencing was really sharp. And he and Marchand were clearly on the same page for a majority of the game. The pitch sequencing and his pitch mix changed as the game went on. Heavy fastball in the first couple of innings. Went to the slider and the curveball a little bit more as the game went on. Added the sinker as the game went on. His first inning, 8 of 11 pitches were something of a fastball variation, either the four seam or the sinker. But in the second inning and the next 2 innings specifically, this is where he really kind of battled in. He only threw the same pitch consecutively 3 times. On 3 occasions did he throw the same pitch over the next 2 innings. One of those at-bats was to Alexander Canario, who he threw 3 straight sliders to. The other 2 were mixing in 2 straight fastballs or 2 straight curveballs. He then, in the 4th inning, as I brought up earlier, had an 11-pitch at-bat against Adam Frazier. He didn't throw the same pitch once consecutively. He mixed in the fastball, the sinker, the curveball, and the slider for over the course of 11 pitches and didn't feature the same pitch consecutively at any point in an 11-pitch at-bat. He was able to effectively use the curveball against lefties. He was able to effectively use the slider against righties. He got a lot of swing and miss, like I said, especially on the curveball, which had a lot of knee buckling action to it. And then he would bring the fastball up in the zone and change eye levels and change speeds, and that's how he was so effective. It was overall one of the more impressive performances I have seen out of a debut from a Phillies pitcher in a very, very long time. I don't know what the future holds for Mick Abel. Rob Thompson had made mention that this is 1 start and 1 start only. He's going to head back down to Lehigh Valley, and Taijuan Walker is going to rejoin the rotation as the 5th starter until the Phillies get Aaron Nola back. I don't know what the future holds for Mick Abel. Does he make more starts for the Phillies this year? Possibly. Does he see time out of the bullpen with electric stuff? Also possible. Is he a member of a trade piece? A trade that facilitates the Phillies acquiring an everyday center fielder or acquiring a high leverage reliever. Those things could be possible as well. I don't know what the future holds for Mick Abel, but for one afternoon at Citizens Bank Park, Mick Abel was the talk of the town. He was the guy, and he showed up and showed out when the Phillies needed him most, especially kind of as a distraction for what happened earlier in the day with Jose Alvarado.